Hey everybody, Matthew Landigan here with Baywa RE. Just gonna see people logging in. We'll just give it another minute or two and we'll be right back with you. Hey folks, Matthew Landigan here again with Baywa RE. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at Baywa. Super happy that you've joined us today to learn a little bit about the Enphase energy product, one of our great partners. Before we get going, just a couple of housekeeping notes. This will be recorded. It will appear on our YouTube channel. If you haven't signed up for our YouTube channel yet, we'd love it if you did. It'll also come out in a week or so in our weekly or monthly newsletter. We will be taking questions. There'll be a question and answer period at the end. There also will be a couple of breaks where there'll be opportunities to ask questions. So if I could just have somebody do a quick test, you'll see down in the bottom right corner. Thank you very much. I've already got somebody replying, so that's great. Continuing education is one of the core pillars here at Baywa, so we're super happy for you to join us and for us to be able to extend that to our customer base. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tony, Senior Trainer with Enphase Energy. Tony?
Thanks for the introduction, Matthew, and thanks everybody for having me today. It's a great opportunity to be able to actually do these live trainings with you guys. We get to learn what things are important to you guys, what you'd like to see out of our systems and our products. It also gives you a chance to ask questions from somebody that works for the company that knows the ins and outs of our products, as well as we've got Anthony Yates here, who is our distribution account manager covering your Baywa, and he's a great resource for knowing availability of products, when new products are going to be hitting the market, and he's been with the company for over 10 years, so it's awesome to have him as a resource too. So right now I'm going to share my screen. I think you've got to change me to the presenter. All right. Matthew, if you can hear me, I think you've got to change me to the presenter, or it might not be. Oh, I see. Sorry, it was hiding behind a different screen. I got it here now. All right, so I trust you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So today we're going to talk not just about the Enphase products and system, but also Enphase as a company. I understand from talking to Anthony and the folks at Baywa that the market in Canada is a little bit different than the US. Enphase is a premium product really anywhere in the world, but in Canada, I've heard it's even more of a premium product in terms of price. So I really want you to understand today what goes behind that, what is the justification for that, and what installers and homeowners and even distributors kind of get out of working with Enphase? What are the benefits of working with Enphase, not just from the product standpoint, but working with Enphase as a company? Because that really goes into the value proposition. So just going to run through a couple quick learning objectives, what I'd like you to take away from today's session. You should be able to explain why an Enphase system is more reliable than our major competitors. Explain how an Enphase system will produce more energy over the lifetime of the system, and list a few ways in which Enphase is the best partner for our installers. So this session is going to be divided up into these three basic groups or sections. We've got the best technology. We're going to talk about our individual products and the kind of research and development that goes into building the most reliable, most robust products available. We're going to talk about how we provide the best solutions as well. By solutions, I mean not just the systems that you can build with our products, but also things like being able to expand systems, grid services, commercial systems, and so forth. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how Enphase strives to be the best partner for our installers. So let's start with technology. One of the core principles of Enphase is the benefit of distributed architecture compared to centralized architecture when it comes to energy systems. I'd like to start out with basically an analogy for different solar inverter technology. This analogy is a multiple lane road that's packed with cars. If all those cars are forced to merge into one lane and that lane is blocked, then basically all traffic comes to a standstill. Compare that to a multi-lane road, which doesn't merge. That means that all lanes flow basically independently. If one of those lanes happens to be blocked, the rest of the lanes remain open. Traffic keeps flowing. If you were in a rush to get to school or work or to an important appointment, which of these roads would you take? There really is no question, right? A string inverter system is like the multi-lane road that merges into one lane. Since all the solar panels are connected into a single inverter, if that inverter fails, then solar energy production ceases to function. A microinverter system is like the multi-lane road on the right here, where traffic keeps flowing even if one of the lanes is blocked. Each solar panel and microinverter work basically like individual power plants in that way. In the rare instance that one stops working, the rest are going to continue to produce power and the homeowner continues saving money. Many new solar system designs on the market today with batteries use a hybrid inverter. A hybrid inverter converts power from both the solar panels and the battery. This may sound efficient and lower cost, however, there's a downside. If that hybrid inverter fails, the consequences are even worse compared to solar alone. The entire system, both solar production and the battery, are going to stop working. The impact of the homeowner is with no solar production, they're not saving any money with their solar. With the battery out of commission, there's no additional savings from avoiding peak rates, and there's no ability to have backup power. Now, if a customer experiences a failure of a hybrid inverter and their entire system shuts down, and it takes a significant time to get that up and running, how happy is that customer going to be, and how many referrals are you going to get from them in the future? In addition to being a single point of failure, the energy production of a string inverter can be much more impacted by shade compared to microinverters. And this is particularly true of systems without any kind of optimization or MLPE. We're bringing this up because of the entrance to the market of Powerwall 3, basically. Powerwall 3 is a hybrid inverter system where the inverter is built into the battery unit. And they have done away with using MLPE, which was kind of a shock to us, and I think to many solar professionals, that they went that route. So since there are no microinverters, there is no optimization, they are really susceptible to performance being impacted by shade on the system. So just a reminder, without optimizers or microinverters, if there is shade on part of the solar array, the power output of the entire string may be significantly reduced. With microinverters, only the panel that's shaded is going to have reduced power, and the rest of the panels keep producing at their maximum power. The end result is more energy produced by a microinverter system over the lifetime and more bill savings for the homeowner. In summary, if a microinverter fails, the impact to solar production is minimal. But if a hybrid inverter fails, the solar system stops making power and stops saving the homeowner money. If a microinverter fails in an Enphase battery, it still keeps working. But if a hybrid inverter fails in a hybrid system, the homeowner loses all solar production and the battery can't function to help them save money. In a microinverter-based system, the battery's backup capability keeps working if there's a failure. But with a hybrid inverter, all backup power is lost. Since microinverter systems continue to work even if there's a failure, the urgency to repair is significantly less. With a hybrid inverter failure, that homeowner is going to be on high alert because every day their entire system doesn't work, they lose money. And they, of course, also don't have the security provided by their battery backup system. The warranty periods of Enphase are significantly longer than hybrid inverters, since they have much lower failure rates. Our solar inverters have a 25-year warranty, and our batteries with integrated inverters have a 15-year warranty. Since microinverters are very small, installers often will have one on their truck or in their warehouse if they need to quickly replace one. A hybrid inverter may not be available locally, and it might take weeks to source a replacement. Microinverters can easily be replaced by one person. String inverters, especially those that are integrated into a battery, are very heavy and often need multiple people to handle the weight. Microinverter system issues are simple to diagnose since each microinverter is visible within the Enphase monitoring system. Problems that exist with, or that occur, I should say, with string or hybrid string inverters are a lot more difficult to troubleshoot, as it's impossible to tell which solar panel or which MCI, which is the rapid shutdown device of Powerwall, has failed without taking basically the entire solar array apart. Microinverters on the solar array or battery can be replaced on site. Today's hybrid string inverters normally can't be serviced on site, and the entire heavy unit must be shipped back to the manufacturer, which of course means significantly more downtime for that system and loss of bill savings for the homeowner. Field serviceability also means that there's much less waste with Enphase, as the system components are small and replaceable, compared to hybrid systems where the large inverter and maybe even the entire battery gets scrapped if there's a small failure of some small component in that system. Another major benefit of the Enphase system and its distributed architecture is superior safety. In an Enphase system, there is no high voltage direct current, since DC is converted to AC for each individual solar panel. Electrical arcing is the main cause of fires in solar systems, and arcing is really a direct result of high voltage and direct current. Since alternating current reverses direction 60 times a second, any potential arc isn't actually sustained and it's not going to cause a fire. The voltage of the battery cells in an Enphase battery are only 80 volts, and it's converted to save AC power by the 6 built-in microinverters in each battery. Our IQ batteries use lithium iron phosphate chemistry, which is also known as LFP, which is the safest available today. Enphase batteries don't experience what's known as thermal runaway, which can happen with other chemistries like NMC, which stands for nickel, manganese, cobalt, which is the other kind of popular battery chemistry out there that's often used in electric cars too. Sometimes those batteries can actually ignite due to manufacturing flaws or physical damage to the battery. Enphase microinverters have built-in rapid shutdown functionality. No additional components like MCIs need to be installed for rapid shutdown compliance. Enphase micros are built with really rugged enclosures, and they're injected with what's called potting material, which protects the electronics from water and corrosion. The potting material also helps dissipate heat, which means no moving parts are needed in the microinverter. The result is superior reliability and an extremely low failure rate of only about 1 in 2,000 per year. So here we have a graphic of sort of a complete Enphase energy system with backup capability. The high reliability and high performance features of an Enphase system are basically a result of all major components in the system designed to work together. Compare that to other systems on the market where you've got components, maybe a battery from one company, a solar inverter from a different company, cobbled together to work. With Enphase, everything is designed and manufactured to work together. Pictured here are the key major components of a complete Enphase energy system designed for backup power. We've got IQ8 series microinverters, which are there, of course, to convert solar panel DC power to AC power for the home. The IQ Battery 5P provides backup power and potentially additional bill savings if it's a time of use rate structure. The IQ System Controller, which is here next to the main service panel, is there to sense grid outages and disconnect from the grid when needed to provide backup power. It isn't needed for grid-tied battery systems that don't provide backup power. It's only needed for backup power systems. And the transition from being grid connected to disconnected from the grid is very, very quick with our system. It's only about 15 milliseconds. So homeowners oftentimes don't even know that there's a grid outage because their system instantly transfers the power source from the grid to the battery. And oftentimes you don't even notice flickering of the lights or anything like that. We also have an IQ EV charger in this example, which is installed here in the garage. This is available, of course, for electric vehicle owners, and it can charge cars only with excess solar energy, or it can be set up on a schedule to charge only during the least expensive time of the day. And the last component here is the IQ combiner. This is the box that combines the circuits of the solar array into one place, which then feeds into the IQ system controller for backup systems. It also enables monitoring and control of the system because it has what's called the IQ gateway built into it, which allows it to communicate with the Enphase cloud, and for homeowners or installers to use the Enphase app or Enlighten Manager to monitor and control. The IQ8 series microinverter is the key component of the Enphase energy system, which not only maximizes energy production, but it's also critical for our backup power systems because it has grid forming capability. IQ8 microinverters are built into our batteries, and they're also, of course, installed on the solar array. There are 5 models of IQ8 series micros with different power ratings, so designers can find the perfect pairing for their solar module of choice. The highest power model, the IQ8HC, is suitable for modules up to around 530 watts. They have an industry-leading 25-year limited warranty, whereas string inverters typically have only a 10 to 12-year warranty. We feel confident offering this long warranty because of the rigorous process that we use for design, testing, and manufacturing our microinverters. For example, we put thousands of individual units through a total of 1 million cumulative hours of accelerated lifecycle testing before releasing a new model. Our micros have no moving parts, which are more likely to fail, like cooling fans, which inverters often have. The system is also designed to basically be plug and play, with one microinverter plugged into one solar module and then into the Enphase Q cable, which goes to the combiner in the main service panel. This Q cable is basically an ordinary AC circuit, just like the rest of the wiring in the home. So any qualified electrician can easily install an Enphase system with a small amount of training. Last year, we released the IQ8P3P, which is a new model of microinverter specifically designed for 3-phase 208 volt services. Historically, there's been a limited, it's kind of limited 3-phase inverter options for small 3-phase commercial projects, and we sought to fill that gap. The IQ8P3P has all the benefits of our residential series, such as plug and play installation, the safety of no high voltage DC on the roof, which is actually a big deal in commercial because there have been a significant number of fires on commercial buildings over the past 5 years or so, and also a 25-year warranty. Phase balancing is often one of the challenges with 3-phase systems, especially when using previous generations of micros. But with this system, phase balancing is built in with a dedicated 3-phase cable system called the QD cable. There's no need to manually divide the microinverters for the 3 phases. These units are the highest power microinverter we offer, with support for modules up to around 640 watts, which covers the vast majority of large format, high power commercial modules on the market today. Here we have the IQ Battery 5P, which is our most powerful battery to date. The IQ Battery 5P has a very high power to energy capacity ratio, which basically just means that for a relatively small battery, it has a very good capability of being able to start large appliances, especially things like air conditioners and pumps that have motors. The 1 5 kilowatt hour unit has a continuous power rating of 3.84 kilowatts, which is the same power rating as our previous 10 kilowatt hour battery. So basically for half the size of the battery, we have the same amount of power, and it even has higher peak power, again, for starting big appliances. Now it's designed to be a building block in a larger system. Very few people are going to get a single IQ Battery 5P, but we decided on that as our base unit so that installers and designers can basically size the system very precisely for the homeowner's needs. You're not overselling them on storage or underselling them based on what they actually need. A typical system is going to be somewhere probably around 3 to 5 of these 5P units, but as many as 16 can be installed on a single system for up to 80 kilowatt hours of total energy storage capacity. This battery can be configured in the 3 basic modes that most companies are using these days, which is savings mode for maximizing bill savings for the homeowner, backup, which will actually not use the battery for savings. It's going to be there kept at 100% state of charge and to be ready for backup power, or self-consumption mode, which is kind of like savings, but self-consumption really is designed to maximize the on-site use of solar generation, whereas savings mode may not maximize on-site generation use. It has a 15-year limited warranty, as I mentioned, 48 amps of LRA support. LRA is locked rotor amps. That's a specification that you'll see on any motor-driven appliance like air conditioning and pumps. And it's a big challenge for backup power systems. LRA is one of the things that can basically cause a collapse of a battery backup system that doesn't have the ability to handle that high level of current. Locked rotor amps really just applies for a split second or maybe a little bit longer than a second when a motor-driven appliance first starts up. And the 5P battery, as I mentioned, has a very high peak power of twice the continuous power. And it also has the unique ability of being able to drop the voltage very briefly for just a split second, which slows down the consumption of current and it's almost like a cushion to the system that allows it to start larger appliances like a miniature brownout in a sense. So power stays up, that appliance starts, and everything goes back to normal within a split second. Just like our solar inverter systems, there's no dangerous high voltage direct current. There are no moving parts or fans in our battery system either. So again, we're trying to eliminate components that are likely to fail in a system. The battery is also designed to be more field serviceable than previous generations. If there is a circuit board that fails, of course, if there's a microinverter that fails, those components can be replaced on site without having to ship the battery back to Enphase. Because of the modular nature of the system, it's easy to expand the system at any time. Sometimes homeowners will start with just, say, 2 or 3 of the 5P batteries for backing up their essential loads, and we'll want to add capacity in the future as their energy consumption patterns and energy consumption needs change over time. They have the UL 9540A certification for fire testing, which also helps in terms of design because you can place our batteries closer together than batteries that don't have this 9540A certification. Now I want to review our line of IQ EV chargers as well because of the way that they integrate into the Enphase system. A couple years ago, Enphase acquired the EV charging company called Clipper Creek. They were known for making extremely durable and reliable chargers. Last year, we released the IQ EV Charger, which is a unique smart charger in the market. It's truly integrated into the Enphase energy system, which allows it to do some special things, such as charge an EV solely with excess solar power. It comes in 4 models with charge current ranging from 32 amps up to 64 amps. Very few of our competitors offer charging at the fast rate of 64 amps. The latest EVs to hit the market tend to have faster charging capabilities, so a charger that can supply 64 amps means they can charge their EV a lot faster compared to, say, a 32 amp charger. For the average EV, the IQ EV charger can add about 28 to 56 miles of driving range per hour of charging, depending on the charge power of the model and the acceptance rate of the electric vehicle. They come with 25-foot ruggedized cables with a J1772 connector. That connector is compatible with all EVs on the market. Some EVs like Tesla's use a different connector, but they do provide an adapter to allow charging with the J1772 connector. And Enphase is actually going to be releasing another version of the IQ EV charger with the other type of connector that Tesla and some other models of vehicles are using going forward, called NACS or NACS. So we will be offering both the NACS and J1772 connector in the near future. The heavy-duty cable can withstand a lot of abuse, and the long 25-foot length makes it easier to reach more than one vehicle in a garage without having to shuffle cars around. Cable management's built in. The unit basically has a built-in saddle to make it easy to wrap up the cable around the unit. And it also comes with a wall-mounted holster for the connector. And the holster is kind of inverted. The connector goes up into it, and the design there protects it from the elements if it's installed outside. So no rain or snow is going to get on top of the connector when it's in that holster. All models are available in a hardwired option. The 40 and 50, which are the 2 lower power models, are available with either a NEMA 1450p or 650p plug. 1450p plugs or receptacles are often found in garages. They might be used for other appliances, so it's common for homeowners to just want to reuse that circuit and reuse that receptacle for their EV charger. It's both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled. Setup and commissioning is done with the Enphase homeowner app with a Bluetooth connection in only about 3 minutes. They have ETL safety listings, they are Energy Star rated, and the enclosure is NEMA 4 rated, so it can be installed inside or outside. They also have a really good warranty, a 5-year limited warranty, whereas most EV chargers have like a 1 to 3 year warranty. I do want to be clear that the IQ EV charger is not a bi-directional charger, so it can't enable powering a home with EV battery. But Enphase has announced that we are developing bi-directional charging technology, but that's likely going to be another year or so in the future before we release our bi-directional charger. I wanted to explain the unique capability of the IQ EV charger, because this is something that really hardly anybody else does. I think I only know of one other manufacturer that does something similar. But this IQ EV charger has the ability to charge a car only with excess solar. So it's not going to draw any power from the utility grid. It's going to charge only with excess solar. And the Enphase system can do that because the IQ EV charger is integrated. And the Enphase system is monitoring energy consumption with consumption CTs or current transformers. So it can actually calculate exactly how much excess solar there is, and it can adjust the rate of charge in 25% steps in order to make sure that we don't draw from the grid. Now this is nice because if you just use a regular off-the-shelf level 2 charger, it's going to charge at full power every single time it turns on. And that's typically about 7.6 kilowatts. Now, most homeowners, even during the middle of the day on a sunny day, aren't going to have 7.6 kilowatts of excess solar. They're going to be using some power in their home. 7.6 kilowatts AC is a pretty high power output. That would probably be about a 9 or 10 kilowatt PV system at peak output. So the message is that even if you try to charge your car during the middle of the day when it's sunny, only a portion of that is going to come directly from the solar system, and a significant portion of the energy is going to be imported from the utility grid, likely at very high electricity prices. And that's the example on the left here. With the IQ EV charger, the system detects the amount of excess solar available, and the charge rate adjusts in 25% increments to stay under that level of excess solar power. So the vehicle charges over a longer period of time, but it does charge only with excess solar. This is obviously ideal for someone that works from home that's able to leave their vehicle plugged in at their home with their solar system during the day. So remote workers or home businesses are perfect candidates for this technology. All right, why don't I just pause there to see if there were any questions that were typed in, or if, yeah, just let's pause and see if there are any questions.
Don't see any at the moment. Folks, do you have any questions out there right now? Excellent opportunity. Okay, don't see any at the moment, Tony, but if they come up, get them at the end.
All right, thanks. We'll just keep on rolling here. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about how Enphase provides the best solutions. The Enphase energy system can be configured for the specific needs of the homeowner, whether it's primarily backup power or to maximize bill savings, for example. Here we have an example, kind of more of a close-up example of a basic backup power system with the key components here. So we've got the IQ8 series microinverters on the PV system, and you can have up to 4 branch circuits that connect into the IQ combiner. The IQ combiner has the IQ gateway built into it, which is the key communication component, which connects it to the internet so we can monitor and control the system. Systems that are larger than the IQ combiner can accommodate can still be installed, of course. You just basically build an off-the-shelf combiner. Build a combiner using off-the-shelf components like a load center that has higher capacity, basically, and then use a standalone IQ gateway. If you're connecting into the IQ system controller for backup power, you actually do need to use the IQ Combiner 5 or 5C. The reason there is that there's a limit to the amount of solar that can be connected into the IQ system controller. The IQ system controller, as I mentioned earlier, is the main disconnect component. It senses utility voltage, and if there is a failure of the utility, it instantly disconnects from the grid and signals the solar components and the battery components to provide backup power. And then we've got the IQ battery 5P. As I mentioned, you can have up to 16 5P batteries connected into a single system controller. And then the main panel here is just represents the main load panel of the home. Now this is a full home or a whole home backup configuration that we're looking at, but it's also very common to install partial home backup systems where you're just basically relocating a handful of loads that are considered essential for the homeowner into a critical loads or essential loads panel, and some of the circuits would remain outside the microgrid. That allows homeowners to basically have smaller systems just to cover their basic needs, and of course save money compared to a whole home backup installation. There's another advantage of the 5P battery that I forgot to mention, which is meaningful for installers, is that a 5P battery can easily be lifted by 2 relatively strong people because the total weight is only about 140 pounds. Many batteries on the market are 300 or 400 pounds or even heavier, so you might need 3 or 4 people if you're trying to lift it manually, or you need special equipment to lift it up onto the site or onto the wall. That just basically means that a 2-person installation crew can easily install up to, like I said, an 80 kilowatt hour Enphase system. So you can have fewer people working, more efficient use of manpower for your company. We also offer other configurations. We were talking about this in yesterday's training with Baywa, that the system can be set up without backup capability. So you can install a battery with solar if there's an opportunity to basically save money by avoiding peak rates. My understanding is that most of the demand for battery systems in Canada is for backup power systems. But if any of you out there happen to work in a place where the utility has time of use rates, where there's a large difference between peak rates and off-peak rates, you can install a battery with our microinverters without backup just for the purpose of saving money. So that's a nice option sometimes. We also offer power control systems, which is also known simply as PCS. A big benefit here with power control systems is that it makes it possible to often avoid expensive upgrades. Power control is a feature that's not necessarily unique to Enphase, but we do offer the most comprehensive set of features compared to other inverter companies in the market. For those that are not familiar with power control, in a nutshell, it monitors electrical current within an Enphase system, and it can actually control the flow of current. The purpose is to maintain electrical current levels within the electrical limits of the home or utility infrastructure. So you can install larger PV and battery systems than you otherwise would be able to based on the limitations of the home. With PCS, you can often avoid the need for main service panel upgrades, which is especially useful for large PV systems when adding batteries or Enphase EV chargers. PCS is now officially recognized by the National Electrical Code as well as UL. It can be used for solar-only systems to install more PV than normally allowed by the NEC 120% rule. It allows you to add, as I mentioned a couple of times, up to 80 kilowatt hours of IQ battery capacity. Previously, there was a limit of 40 kilowatt hours. It can also control current exported to the utility grid, which helps avoid costly utility transformer upgrades. And in select markets, it allows the battery to export power back to the utility grid as well. PCS is available for these system configurations: solar-only systems with IQ8 series micros, and both grid-tied and backup systems with either the IQ Battery 5P or the previous generation 3T and 10T. Now I want to talk about some of the ways that Enphase strives to be the best partner to our installers. First, Enphase doesn't sell systems direct. We're never going to compete with you guys in the marketplace for selling turnkey installations. We are 100% dedicated to our core business, which is basically designing and manufacturing the best possible energy system. We don't dabble in flying to Mars or social networks or anything like that. We are totally focused on renewable energy. We have our installer network, which is designed to accelerate your growth. If you're not part of the Enphase installer network, I recommend reaching out to your regional sales manager with Enphase and having a conversation with them about how to become part of that installer network. We offer best-in-class hardware, software, and also services, support, and warranties. Our customer support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we also have field service technicians, which are available in certain parts of the country. And I was talking with Anthony about this earlier. We can offer support in certain parts of Canada as well as needed. So these are actual Enphase employees that are experts in our technology that can support installers when they face challenges getting systems operating or having to repair systems, for example. So as I mentioned, phone support's available 24/7, and we to make that even more valuable to you, wait times are very short compared to industry averages. Our wait times are only about 2 minutes, and we're striving to be under a minute. Many manufacturers often have wait times that are much, much longer than that, even hours long. We accomplish this by having a lot of customer support agents, not just in the US, but also worldwide to support partners in other parts of the world. And we also have field application engineers. We have about 24 across the country. These, of course, are also Enphase employees that are experts in design and implementing Enphase technology, basically. Designing backup battery systems can sometimes be kind of complicated. And we know that it's not necessarily an easy thing to do for installers who don't have a ton of experience. So our FAEs are there to provide that necessary support when installers are getting to learn our technology and can help installers design systems properly. We have a few additional resources for installers, like a self-service RMA in the app or online with the installer portal or Enlighten Manager. So what that means basically, if there's a failure of a microinverter, you can go to that system and submit an RMA just with a couple of clicks, and the Enphase system will do a quick check of that microinverter, so like a diagnostic check, and if it determines that it has in fact failed and needs to be replaced, it automatically starts that RMA process. That's just going to save you the time of actually having to call in to speak to somebody. We offer seed stock for faster repairs. That just means that you can have some inventory from Enphase on hand at all times. And we've also worked really hard over the past couple of years to create a lot of short form support videos that are, say like 3 to 5 minutes in length. You can go to our YouTube training channel. Simply go to YouTube and search for Enphase training, and you'll see hundreds of videos there on a wide variety of topics that are there to help you kind of get the information that you need in an easy to access format, as opposed to going through, an hour, 2 hour long training. We have really expanded since Enphase was launched back in 2006. We have over 4 million systems worldwide now, and systems in over 150 countries. And 2 million of those systems alone are in the United States. Another significant acquisition that we made a couple of years ago is Solargraph. Solargraph is a solar design and proposal tool, and we have really enhanced the capabilities of Solargraph since we acquired the company. And it has this kind of 3 different components to it. First is 3D design and proposal software for solar and storage projects. It also allows you to generate really high-end proposals. You can customize the proposals with your own logos and fonts. You can decide exactly what content you want to have in your proposal. There's a number of templates you can use, and there are also financing options built into it, and you can also use your own financing options. Very easy to set up. And we do offer support in multiple languages now as well. And lastly, through Solargraph, we actually offer permit services as well. I have to be honest, I'm not sure of the availability of this in Canada. Anthony, if you have any comment on that, please chime in. But basically, you can get a complete permit plan set generated by Solargraph, which is ready to be submitted to most AHJs in the country for permits. So it really streamlines the process of obtaining a permit.
Yeah, I've been told that this is available in Canada.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Very quick turnaround, typically only about 24-hour turnaround on designs. So takes some of that pressure off of you working with third parties or having your internal staff generate the permit plan sets. Just outsource it to Solargraph through the tool. All right, that's actually the last slide that I have for you all today. So with that, I'd love to just go back to the Q&A and see if any questions were typed in. If you haven't typed in a question, now's your opportunity. Could be about technology, it could be about availability of products, which Anthony Yates could answer, or anything you'd like to ask.
So we do have one here from Kyle asking, is the PCS recognized and compliant with the Canadian Electrical Code?
That I would have to check with our FAEs and get back to you. Anthony, do you have a comment on that?
I do. It's not quite there yet on the Canadian Electrical Code. However, the next go around, we anticipate it to be added since it isn't our codes in the US, as well as a part of the UL listing.
Great. Brad asks, I'm looking at the installer network. Is it available in Canada?
Anthony, would you mind taking that one?
Yeah, no problem. It is, we are still working on developing this in Canada itself. It is really close, is what I've been told. It has to do with coverage across Canada, and that's kind of where we're at. Do me a favor, you can always send us an email or reach out to myself, Ashley, or Frank. And if you know us, great, then let us know what we can do and see if your comments are going to help us speed this process along.
Brad also says, I have inquired about plan set services and not available in Canada, question mark.
Was that recently? I was told by our director of CNI that has now been updated, but I'm not sure how recent that was that they inquired.
Great. And Brad, yes, we'll reach out to you after the webinar and we can get you more details on this. Any other questions out there? Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions, but if you do have any, obviously Enphase is a fantastic resource. Also, we've got plenty of internal and external sales reps that are well versed on Enphase that would be happy to answer your questions. Before we go, just a reminder, our web shop, you can find all the specs, pricing, volume, install manuals. You can see your orders. If you haven't signed up for the web shop yet, we would love to see you do that. It's really a powerful tool and a great extension of your purchasing group. This was recorded. It'll be up on our YouTube channel here very shortly. It'll also come out in the next newsletter. If you do have any further questions, please just reach out to us. We'd love to help you. We've got a great group that's well versed in Enphase, ready to help. So thank you, Anthony and Tony. Really appreciate your help today. And thank you everybody for attending. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.